5th and spring.
Now hold on. You ain't the first son of a bitch to wake up out of their dream.
What's that?
Brother, life's a bitch. She's back in heat.
This is how I feel, but I'm back, my friends. Yes, the technical nightmares have been never-ending, but we continue to fight on. And just like here in They Live, the dramatic fight scene, trying to get people to look at what you have to reveal is very, very difficult indeed. But I'm going to try my best to help you guys with the animations that I created. Let's try to put the They Live glasses on you guys too as well. Let's get started. So this here is my blog page, and this is my private platform that I use, the private page, that I'm going to be using for all future videos as well. I wanted to talk about the holographic universe and tie it all together in one video, but that's just not going to be possible with the patents. But either way, today's video we're going to talk primarily about the pit. And that's because the amount of data that has come in from going down this rabbit hole is just unbelievable. And my head feels like it's going to pop. So let's get this part out of the way today. Help you guys see what I'm seeing happening in the skies from the spiritual realm. And then we'll put together all sorts of compilations for you in the days and weeks ahead so that we can get very educated on what's going on, because this is just insane. Now, we know that luciferase is one of the active components in the coming vaccine. And luciferase is actually naturally occurring in fireflies, but this is like a semi-synthetic bioluminescent quantum AI synthetic nanomedicine, as it says right here. Okay, but this is being used for transhumanism. Now, I was listening to this very early this morning. I got up, and finding these old videos is not easy. This goes back to 2016, and I learned a lot from Harold Kotzvella on chemtrails and Morgellons and the smart dust and black goo, of course, all of that. He's just amazing as far as his intelligence and as far as physics background. I'm probably the least qualified person to be talking about things having to do with physics. But here he talks about how all the way back then in 2016, he's going to talk about self-replicating nanotechnology, or self-assembling nanotechnology here, and the quantum dot, which is AI technology that is being used as a transhuman agenda. Let's listen to Harold Kotzvella here, and then we're going to get started with talking about how the pit life cycle has the level where it has raised up out of the earth. There's our spiritual hive under the earth, and we're going to have a beautiful little animation to help you put those They Live glasses on. Now let's listen to Harold Kotz.
So this is coming to the concept of self-assembling nanobots. Self-assembly means you spray the fiber, it is replicating, you spray the color, and within the human body, the color and the fiber is mounting to a working unit. This is what you call self-assembling nanobot. If you just take the chemical formulas of these colors and put them into Google, something really, really funny happened. I found that in Berlin there's a American company that has a kind of daughter in Berlin, and they are holding all the patents, world patents for these colors. And if you look at their website, they're very proud of themselves, serving the medical community with these quantum dot liquids, with these quantum dot colors, and with other lab equipment for mainly transhumanistic research. With these quantum dot, mainly transhumanistic research.
So the quantum dot is a transhuman agenda. This is going on back in 2016. Harold Kotz was talking about how it was a transhuman agenda then, many years before any virus or supposed mandatory coming vaccine. So in upcoming vids, we're certainly going to expand on this because this is a rabbit hole that goes far and wide. Now let's get looking at the embodiment of the spiritual manifestation of the pit here on Earth, as well as the footage that I captured on the 27th. Be ready to endure. Okay, Matthew 24:8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Well, what are the signs of the end of the age, and what does sorrows mean? In Greek, G 5604, a pang or throe, especially of childbirth, pain, sorrow, travail. Well, that shouldn't upset us in the least, because he who endures to the end, the same shall be saved. That's what I've been telling everybody that is not reborn in our Christ Messiah at this late hour, that it's not too late. If you lay down your life with a whole heart for the Lord, the same shall be saved. So, yeah, those of you that are watching my channel, of course, you know where we're at. We don't need to go through Matthew 24. It's getting kind of redundant. I've been going through this over and over. So let's get back to really what I want to talk about, because I have been on a mission to find out exactly what was going on and what I experienced on the summer solstice of 2019. Now, as you can see, I did a video here, and, you know, not too many people actually watched it, or they didn't get it. Even with me liking it, it's only got 4 thumbs up. And what this shows here, let's have a look. Coming out of this supposed moon were all of these winged entities. And this was from the summer solstice of 2019. That's January 22nd, just before the witching hour. Okay? And they've been here ever since. So I also showed here in the Night's Watch Locust Unleashed Revelation 9 Summer Solstice video, I talked in good length about how these entities, they're in black matter and they have wings. We can see that they have wings. Okay, we can see they have, it's a wing-shaped entity, and it looks to be encased in this spiritual bubble of sorts, right? But as we hit play and we watch it go here, you're going to see that this thing here, that's what I mean. You could see it swarming around in there along with all of these entities on the bottom. This is a hive. It's a spiritual hive. This takes us to Revelation 9, 4, and 5. Okay? And as you can see right there, see if we can catch them better. Again, right there, there, all of these entities have been not unable to actually leave these honeycombs, if you will. I like to think of this world that we perceive. Now, if we went on the flat earth model, which I love here, if we realize that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, that we take in less than 1% through our eyes, we take in only about 0.7. That's less than 1% of the perceived world that we take in through our eyes. So we are literally deceived by the world because we see less than 1%. Think of all the other animals and the instincts that they have, and insects that can't see. They use, like bats, for instance, they use sonar. And the only reason why I am able to see what is happening outside of this firmament and how all of this works is because Father God had showed it to me. Now let's just imagine that if we could take the spiritual world and turn it into a beehive, okay? What we're looking at here is larva, okay? Dark matter larva that we see right here, okay? And as I said before, they could not escape this spiritual bubble of sorts, but I later learned that it was ionized aluminum, barium, strontium, and niobate. In the cloaked craft video, I showed here how they are using holographic lasers to cloak these clouds by ionizing that they become plasma. I've done a lot of research on that. If you guys are interested, we could start to really unravel this ball of yarn and get a good look at the unseen world, because they've literally built a machine world around the world that we perceive with our eyes. Okay, so this swarm that has been around since the summer solstice of 2019, that was encased in this spiritual bubble, or should I say the plasma field that they created by ionizing the aluminum, the niobate, the barium, the strontium, and every other metal that they put in these chemtrails, has encased this dark matter, these dark matter spiritual entities that I call the locusts from the pit. And that's exactly what they are. Let's have a look here now. If we could imagine that the world that we live within, if you were able to see the spiritual world, what they do is they harvest all of the negative energy that comes off of us. I like to think of ourselves as like batteries. When I do these types of projects where I have to look at this type of footage for hours and hours and hours on end, because that's how long it takes to slow it down enough and then enlarge each frame, because these things move so fast that 1 to 3/60ths of a frame, one single frame, 1 to 3/60ths of a second, okay? These things move and travel across the sky, and I have to slow it down at such a great rate so I can capture them and then enlarge them and then create a sequence of pics so you can see them travel. So it takes literally tens of hours to work on a small project of just 2 video clips. And this, they do not want me to publish whatsoever. That I can assure you, my friends. Okay, so imagine in there, if you could see the spiritual world, they are harvesting energy. Why? So that they could make these things fly. The locusts out of the pit. Revelation 9, 4, and 5. As I had shown here. Okay, if you guys want to catch up on what it is that I do, look at them all here. Okay, and look at them swarming about. You should watch this whole video if you want to know exactly what it is that I have been trying to reveal and have uncovered since the summer solstice of 2019. And there's a still of it as I am showing there. You could just follow the cursor. That was a portal, and all of those winged entities came out, and now they are here, and they are now in such a dark matter state that I do not even have to enhance the video at all. Only maybe 5 to 8 stills did I have to lighten or change the temperature to bring out a few of these things. So let's just get started, guys, and jump right in, okay? Because we're going to take a look. These guys are now free and flying freely all throughout the ether, which is the atmosphere and the air that is all around us. And we're going to look at the frequency that hides everything. Just like in the movie They Live. What happens at the end when Roddy Piper, he dies in the end, if I remember correctly, he dies blowing up the satellite that was broadcasting a frequency. And once that frequency stopped pulsing, then everybody was able to see. Everybody was able to see what was the real world that Roddy Piper was able to see with They Live glasses on. Well, just think of me as Roddy Piper, and all of those out there that have the eyes to see. We're all walking around with those glasses on, okay? But not physically. They're spiritual glasses. I have come to the conclusion that people can't see what is happening, okay? We who can see, it is just like we are separated out in the movie They Live. Because I can literally point up to the sky at a tic-tac-toe chemtrail situation going on as they lay these grids out across the sky from horizon to horizon. Not from horizon to horizon of late, just in front of the sun, because we should know, a lot of us should be well aware, and I'll get into this in upcoming vids. I have a lot of information on sun simulators, and they're out there. Many YouTubers have proven it, but I'll be happy to share that too. So, yeah, I forgot where I was even going with that, guys. That's what's crazy. So let's just get started with the footage, because It's awesome, and we're going to have a good time doing it, but you're not going to see me. I'm going to switch. Now, we're going to get talking about here. I put an Ouroboros together, and this is a wasp's cycle of life. So I call it the pit, and always at the end of the earth age, out come all of the fallen angels, all of the lost souls, and all of the demons that are being held prison in what we could call the pit or a spiritual hive. Now, as above, so below, and as below, so above. From below, it is a projection, and from above, it is a reflection. So everything that happens here, we can call ground zero. Everything that happens here is a reflection from above and a projection from below. As above, so below. So we are considered to be ground zero. Now let's take this hive here and just imagine that as being the pit, the abyss, until the end of the age, when this here rises up out of the earth. And we're going to look at some animations. Now, let's go to eSword. This happens when the fifth angel, Revelation 9:1, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. All right, so what is the pit? If we just look right here at G5421, Frahar, it is figuratively an abyss as a prison, well, pit. And bottomless is G12, and that would be abyss, deep, bottomless pit. So really, it is just a prison. It's a prison for all of the fallen angels and for all of the lost souls and demonic entities until the end of the earth age. And that is when they are released in Revelation 9, when the fifth angel sounds. Now let's first establish from Dr. Geordie Rose that even at 9:11, 9 minutes and 11 seconds here, which goes directly to Revelation 9:11, I found this to be quite ironic. They had a king over them, the angel of the bottomless pit, which is exactly what we're talking about, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. So let's listen to what Dr. Geordie Rose has to say at 9 minutes and 11 seconds.
There are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good, they're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want. So this transition is really, really massively important for our entire species to navigate. And going back to that thing that Sam Harris was saying, nobody is paying attention. This thing is happening in the background while people bicker about politics and what's going to be in the healthcare plan in the US. And underneath it all is this rising tsunami that, if we're not careful, is going to wipe us all out.
Indeed. And they are much further along, and he's wrong. I am paying attention. Now I want to talk about here going to Cloaked Craft, Laser Tech, Documented and Identified, Part 1. I thought the video was great. I liked it. Okay, so what we're looking at here is a frequency. And we can see, now I have come into full understanding now as to what it is that we're actually looking at here. It took me some time. I even had to slow it down a bit to 0.75 to really get a good look at it. But if we notice these lines here, I was saying in this video, it looks like an interference in our broadcast transmission. Well, that is somewhat true. But let me show you this here, because this world is very much a frequency. Everything is a vibration and a frequency. And by matching the frequency to the other side, they actually bring these entities in. Now let's look at this footage here from a late summer, early morning. I had my camera set on low light. Look at the magnetic pulse in the air. Okay, that's an electromagnetic pulse. The reason why they need that electromagnetic pulse is so that they can bring these things in. So what we're looking at here are actually dimensional windows. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is really cool. Okay, did you just see that black thing manifest? Okay, we're going to let it play. Again, right here. See these lines? I was saying that this is interference in our broadcast transmission. These are actually dimensional windows. Now let's watch. Okay, as this starts to go, that thing just manifests, looks like a tooth, and then it disappears right when it flickers again. And then it flickers again, and then out comes this orb as it keeps flickering, and every time it flicks, these frequency waves open up a window, and more of these black matter entities come flying through. There's actually 2 orbs there. It's just incredible. Okay, so the way they are bringing these things in is through a certain technology. And that technology goes so deep down a rabbit hole and so far and wide, it's going to require a lot of videos to get it all out. But I'm going to start putting it out. Now here is the animation of the pit below the earth during the entire earth cycle. At the end of the age, it rises up when the 5th angel sounds in Revelation 9, verse 1 and 2. Now, this is just to not get you guys spooked out, but to help train your eyes to see. The pit has risen and begins to hatch. Okay. Now we're going to start to add in the footage that I have captured. And this goes back to the, this is the episode 49 Locust Unleashed video. This would be the clouds that I captured above that is a host. These are actually, this is ionized plasma. It's a plasma field that is a host for what is inside here. And I used this flat earth model as a medium. Now look at this as it begins to shift and move. These black matter entities you can see are encased within this plasma field, which is an ionized barium, strontium, niobate, and aluminum cloud formation is what it is. And this would be the flat earth model. And then we're going to go ahead and start to add what I can see. When I look at this, it's this clear to me. Okay? So imagine this as being a spiritual hive, but they're being held back until the Revelation 7:2 angel ascends and seals the servants of God on their forehead. Okay, so these entities, these locusts that have been unleashed from their prison in Revelation 9 for the Antichrist Messiah in the Great Tribulation, before they can sting men and torment those that dwell on the earth, the servants of God must be first sealed in their forehead in Revelation 7:2 when the angel ascends from the east with the seal of the living God. Now here's another one, the ionized plasma field. You could see all of the movement. And you'll see in the footage I'm about to show you here in a minute on the 27th that I captured on the evening of the 27th in 2 separate clips. I don't even have to enhance it. But this is to help train your guys' eyes, like I was saying, to start to see what I can see. Okay, so let's get looking at that footage from the 27th of September. Okay, just before we look at that, guys, I feel that I captured one of these things in their dark matter form. Let's look at Revelation 9:10, the description here. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months, okay? And they had tails like unto scorpions. Well, this here is from the Revelation, or I'm sorry, the episode 49 Night's Watch video. This is a close-up of one of these guys in the sky. You could see clearly it's got a body and what looks to me to be a tail. Let's increase this in size. There you go again. It's got a body. Right there's the body. Looks like that could be the wings. And that's what to me looks exactly like a scorpion tail. But at this time, this was in 2019, late summer or early fall, this was still encased within the ionized plasma field, which is barium, strontium, aluminum, and niobate, that is charged with EMF radiation and creates a plasma field. And these dark matter entities, this one looks like it has a tail, just like it's described to us in Revelation 9:10, and they had tails like unto scorpions. Well, here's a dark matter one in a plasma field with a stinger. And I'm piecing this project together, guys. I don't know if you heard the popping previously earlier. Yeah, they're really giving me a hard time, but I don't even like to let them know that. Now let's look at the footage because I've been talking about it long enough. Let's get started. So we're going to be looking at two separate clips. Both of them were on the 27th. One was earlier in the evening, and one was at about 10:40 p.m. on the 27th. Now look here at the triangle-shaped entity and the frequency, the energy field coming off of that hexagonal moon pattern. And that's actually a simulator, but we'll look into that in upcoming vids. Let's first look at the original footage. I mean, that's cool. That's just badass right there. Yeah, that was lens flare. Almost looks like the moon is on the wrong side of the clouds. Now, I did put it in my software, and this is the original footage. The problem is the audio is choppy in some spots. I'm doing a voiceover right now, but I didn't want to voice over the entire thing, so let's watch. Now, what I was talking about is, do you see the pulsing coming off all around this perceived moon? And do you notice how the moon is actually in front of these clouds? Isn't that just crazy? Now what I want, that's lens flare, by the way. Don't pay attention to that. Notice all of the electromagnetic frequency popping off of these trees. And now I want you to notice all of these black things that are whipping by. They're even coming from behind the moon out this way. Okay? And that is a pulse technology that is on this celestial body. It may be a moon simulator. It could be a holographic projection. Like I said, I will be putting those videos together, whether they be compilations or my own research, but I will have that out for you. Now we slowed it down to about 0.5, I believe this is. Now I want you to really notice here again the pulse, but look, now let's start looking closer at these clouds. This is the original footage, not enhanced in any way. We don't see this with the naked eye. I have a very nice cam. It has 5 lenses. There's one of those black entities right there, loosed from its hive. Now look at them all flying. That's lens flare. Don't worry about that. Now here's a whole host of them. You got one there, and then you could see them flying. You could actually see their wings, and we're going to slow it down more so that we can look at it. But look at how the moon is actually in front of these perceived clouds, which is actually a plasma field. There's one there, one there, one there, one here flapping. Now let's continue to watch as they fly off. There's a whole swarm of these things flying through. And this was very early. This was maybe 7:30. The moon was just rising up. That's why it was so large. Look at these things flying. Look at them all up here. Again, this is not even enhanced. Now let's hit pause here. Do you see where there's like these white spots? Okay, there's one of them right there. Okay, there's one there. Okay, there's one coming out here. These white spots were puzzling me for some time. They're actually puffs of this ionized plasma field as these entities shoot through there. Let's continue to watch. This is just crazy. So as we look, there's the wings on that one there. Look at that one there and there. And don't forget the big pulsing moon. That is absolutely technology. You could even see the wings on that guy as they fly around. This is just unbelievable. Look at the pulsation in the ionized plasma field, and look at the puffs and the white dots, and there's the black one coming through, and they pop through the clouds, and you could see right where they're popping through, those white dots, and then you see the black flying winged entities popping through on the other side. They are so fast. They're even coming out from behind the perceived moon. Now you can see here as they are flying through the clouds and coming from behind the moon that is pulsing, and that's lens flare up at the top. Don't worry about that. But look at that guy there, and that guy there, along with the puffs of white. There's one right there. You can't miss him. And that one there, he came through that puff there and blew out on the other side. Look at all these guys. It's an army here. Scores and scores just flying through. Now these, if that guy right there with the wings, unbelievable. You could even see the V-shaped pattern. They are so fast. The only reason why I can capture them with my camera is because it's 60 frames per second, and I have the software to slow it down to 0.01%. This is probably at 0.1%. These are clear as can be. This is not even enhanced. Pulse, look at the guy popping through the clouds right here. The cloud formation. This is an ionized plasma field. It's used for cloaking technology to hide what they don't want us to see with the naked eye. Because let's not forget that we take in less than 1% of the perceived reality of this world. Look at this here. Right there. 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 They're popping right through. They're popping right through these plasma fields. And that's why we see all those white puffs going by all the time. There's a bunch of them there. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is all the same little like 15 to 20 second clip. I just had to slow it down to 0.1%. And these things are actually traveling in and out of our dimension. And there's a whole bunch of them. Look at them flying. One right there. One right there. It just keeps going and going. And you could see the puffs of white. And they give off a very negative vibration that I can feel when they're out. And it's an unpleasant feeling. And I can even hear the noise that they make. And these things are huge. It's not like I'm 200 feet tall. These things are very high up in the sky. Look at that pocket of them there. This is an army, my friends. These things are huge. And they are just popping through these clouds, these ionized plasma fields. You could see the white dots. And the black entities are covering the skies. And that moon is clearly in front of those clouds. There is no question about it. Those perceived clouds, I should say. And you could see that entity right there. Huge. These things are covering, they're blanketing the skies. And the reason why people don't see it is because they're cloaked, A, and nobody's paying attention. As Geordie Rose said, this thing is happening in the background while people are fighting over what's going to be in the healthcare bill, while these entities are popping through their spiritual hive and manifesting into this earth plane. And there he goes off. There, it's just a never-ending swarm of these things. It's truly a never-ending swarm. There's a nice close-up of one popping through the white cloud there. And then look at that there. And then this is like the mother one. This one is massive right here. It's about to fly down. Look at the size of that one. It looks like a massive hawk or a bird. And that thing flies around. You can't miss that. Now let's get into the moon footage. Well, let's look at the moon footage now. Look at the sides on this. It has clear edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it's actually a moon simulator, but we'll get into that in upcoming vids. That's a very odd shape for a moon. Unfortunately, I'm not going to play the original clip, and this is the original clip right now, but without the audio. I'm actually having to do a voiceover. You probably heard all the popping there because the original footage didn't come out, so I'm having to do a new voiceover. So it's going to be cut a little shorter than was to be expected, but look at this thing go now. As it travels, that is actually getting absorbed into the plasma field. That is how low that moon is, that perceived moon rather. And then we're going to start to slow it down and really get a good look at this thing. Okay, so as we see it going here, 1, 2, 3, okay? These things are already starting to get hyped up and excited when this perceived moon, this technological monstrosity starts to enter the plasma field. It's as if it's an energy source. Look at this one right here as it flies directly towards it. Here comes another one right there. You can see them start to orbit this as it starts to get absorbed. Look at the wings on this guy. He couldn't be any more clear. That is a winged entity flying directly towards that moon. or perceived moon, as it starts to get absorbed into the plasma field, they all begin to orbit this celestial object. Look at that guy there popping through. And they are just starting to have a good time. It's as if dinner has arrived and they're getting ready to chow down. And you could actually see that guy flying directly towards it. And you could also see the plasma starting to now cover that celestial object as these things start to just flock towards it. Look at this guy here with the wings, my goodness. And they are now just orbiting it. And you can see them flying around. And this is slowed down to look at the energy arc. It looks almost like a welder's arc coming off of that. That's why I say that these things are somehow feeding off of the energy field that comes out of these this technology. It's technology. There's no question about it. It's AI, and these entities they somehow are attracted to it. They look like they're actually touching it as they continue to orbit this celestial object. Look at them all. They look to me like they're actually touching it as it gets absorbed into the ionized plasma field, which we look up and it looks like, well, I don't see clouds, but to most people they look up and just see clouds. Look at them all. It's just like the hive was kicked and they're all swarming towards it. And look at that one there. These things are actually massive because those things, again, like I said before, are really, really high up in the sky. And if they're that large compared to that celestial object, then those things are quite massive unless they're in a cluster. That I don't know. That's up for discernment. But we can see as it continues on, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 as they continue to orbit. As it gets absorbed into the ionized plasma field, it just begins to spark and arc out, and it is just covered with these winged entities. So on that, guys, I had to cut it a few minutes short, but I will talk to you soon. Until then, you stay safe and you have a blessed night. Much love from God the Father. Take care.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day.